How's it going, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're doing a video with modern tactical shooting. For those who don't know him, he runs a YouTube channel. He's been doing it for a long time, and we actually tend to do a lot of similar interests that we tend to talk about. And he has some really good videos that I used to watch, back in the day when he talks about setting up his kit. So, if you don't mind giving us a little quick introduction on, who you are, what you do, that'd be nice.
All right, my name is Jeff Gerwich, Modern Tactical Shooting. I've been on YouTube about 4 years now. I consider myself still a small channel, but my background is 26 years in the Army. I spent 19 years in Special Forces with both 5th Group and 3rd Group, and I retired back in 2017. So I like Modern Tactical Shooting as a way to kind of stay in the tactical game.
Of course, that's kind of how I discovered this channel before I even thought about making a channel myself, just looking into gear, which I've always been interested to. Of course, hugely different background for me. Gear is purely a hobby, and it's, at the end of the day, we're playing games here. But I think the video idea was to kind of, me and have a conversation and talk about gears and things of that nature, and kind of see the contrast between how I use my gear for a hobby's purpose versus a professional experience, and how those the two compare. And he's gonna kind of in a constructive way roast my setup a little bit. I think that would be fun. One thing that I think my channel kind of caters to, it's that like milsim crowd, those milsim nerds like myself. I think it's a really cool hobby because it really truly gives you the ability to build up realistic loadouts that you can actually go and use, and at the end of the day try to use your gear and have fun with it without any like serious consequences. So that's personally what I'm really attracted to. I think that gives me purpose to invest into gear, knowing that I'll actually use it instead of sitting in a closet. And I mean, I think everybody has different reasons. I know a lot of people invest in gear for preparedness, and there's the whole shit hits the fan thing, which I'm personally not very attracted to. So for me, the whole milsim fun scenario kind of gives me that purpose. And additionally, the YouTube channel itself kind of gives me that ability to like showcase and talk about gear and things like that. So I think that's kind of different perspective that I have.
Well, I like in the milsim community when people are doing period correct. So regardless of functionality or price, if you're going for period correct, like if you're going early GWatt in the early 2000s versus later 2000s, I mean, there's totally different periods of gear. So yeah, if you want to go period correct, it's probably going to cost to get the authentic look. And I
Sure.
think that's super cool. I don't do milsim myself. I just don't have the time. But I think it's super cool. I don't look down on milsimmers. I think it's cool, and especially the people that go out of their way to get period correct, and it actually keeps history alive when they go period correct. So I think it's cool.
Speaking of which, I mean, I have some equipment that my main camera can somewhat show, but I'll bring it closer so you'll be able to see it, and we can kind of discuss some things. So this is actually LBT 1694, which was a huge popular carrier even like with in the United States, and still is. It's been used a lot, but specifically in ATACs, the way I have it here, I have 4 mags up front because of the 1694. The width of the plate bag has enough motley slots to do 4 magazines, which I find really cool, and I find that not many carriers nowadays do anymore. It's kind of been brought back with like Russian troops. A lot of the carriers they design do this, but a lot of American carriers are now with the main like 3 mags up front. And I have AK and AR magazines just to kind of show the ability to, I don't know, to play with different loadouts. And then one thing that I don't think many people do is the down pouch at the bottom. It's something that I always liked, having this big like roll up down pouch that allows you to just like stash your magazine in there, which it's a segue to belts that we can talk about later. And then on this side I have a tourniquet pouch, a multi-tool pouch, which I really like keeping multi-tools with me. I found them super useful. And then on this side I have this GP pouch, which is quite slim, It's very slim GP pouch, and I put some bungee cord here to even give it some retention if I stuff something in there. But it's nice because on this on this arm, when I do this, it doesn't create that like bulk over here, right? It just kind of goes out of the way, and then yeah, I think I modified it to have tubes on both sides. So then the tubes are, it's kind of hard to see, but they're actually, the cummerbund folds on itself and the tubes connect. And then there is like soft armor in here, which I like because not necessarily out of obviously need, because I'm not getting shrapnel and whatnot, but it kind of gives me rigidity here and it feels better to wear, if that makes sense. And then moving on, it's honestly quite simple. On this, it's actually for ATACs and phones and whatnot. But what I use it for is for a KDU, because the way I have my radio on underneath here in this pouch over here, you know, these bigger style radios become kind of difficult to get out if you have it stuck in there. So if you end up having to change channels and whatnot. The KDU was very convenient to do so, and it's a new setup for me, so I'm excited to try in the future. But ideally, that's kind of what I'm looking to use so far. Yeah.
Well, it's. I mean, I would say it's definitely minimalistic. 4 mags in the front, 1 GP pouch in your radio, and the KDU is something I'm super familiar with. That was my era. I left Special Forces just as when ATAC was hitting SF. Now, JTACs have been running it forever, but ATAC didn't start going really SOCOM-wide until about 2017. So, yeah, I'm very familiar with the KDU pouch, and on my old plate carrier, that's where mine was mounted in a dedicated KDU. So, really, the way I've always looked at plate carriers is fighting stuff always on the front. I used to wear my radio on the back only because I had the KDU, and I did not wear dual radios. There's times you got to wear dual radios. I didn't want to, so I wore one, and we rocked 152s at the time. And the reason why guys run dual radios is to have one on SATCOM and then one on your normal I guess it's FM, so they can talk at the same time. I was in the position where I needed it, but a lot of guys have it set up like that. But I mean, as far as your carrier's set up, it's nothing crazy. Dump pouch on the front versus the back. I would rock it on the back, just because I would go either hand and dump that stuff. I wouldn't want to lay on my dump pouch in the prone, but I don't know how much prone shooting you're doing in milsim. That's the only critique I would say right there.
What were your comments on it, and how does that compare to your like real deal, you know, operational setup?
Well, I'll pull mine out here. Again, I'm all about fighting stuff up front. So let me pull mine out and let me tilt it down, get it in frame a little bit. Hopefully you can see it pretty well.
Yeah.
So I carried at least five mags on my plate carrier, sometimes 6. I always had one on my belt and one on my gun. So I always like to have, for real life, 8 mags on me. And I had another 3 in whatever type of pack.
Okay.
So I have at least 10 or 11 mags. So this is set up the way it was my last tour.
Yeah.
So I had 3 on here, and then this used to be my first reload in this little speed pouch.
Okay.
But it was at the beginning of my last tour, ATS Tactical Gear came out with their first horizontal for super fast reload. So this became, we call it the happy mag in Special Forces.
Okay.
So yeah, you got to put bungees in all your mags so you don't lose them while you're running around. But these have that Kydex insert, so for a super fast reload. So I've got 5 on the front, and then on my plate carrier on the side here, I have another one makes 6, and then one in my gun and one on my belt. I wear side soft armor.
Okay. Yep.
I'm not into side hard plates.
Yeah.
That's just more extra weight I had to carry. In the regular army, you don't get a choice. They make those guys carry hard plates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I did run my radio in the back. I took off the radio pouch because I don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a righty with my pistol, lefty with my rifle, so I wore my GP pouch on my left-hand side, along with the little extra pistol mag. Always had 2 tourniquets. My IFAC is a tearaway version. You just undo the buckle, and this whole IFAC just comes right off. I can rip the whole thing off.
Right. Yeah.
And then I, of course, always carried water.
Water, of
So
course.
this is a source. It's a little 1 liter bladder,
Yeah.
super handy. And then I've got a drag handle built into it. And then because I am a righty with my pistol, as you can see, I've got a mag in the front, I've got a mag in the back, but the side panel is actually slick
Yeah.
to get to my sidearm.
Yes. Yeah.
So the only difference between how I have it rigged now and really my last tour, it's missing the KDU pouch and it's missing the radio.
Yeah.
And I had a grenade on here too, but there's
Yeah.
no grenades in the civilian world, so I'm kind of out of luck with that. But yeah, as far as amount of mags, this is how it's set up.
Yeah, I saw in a few of your videos showcasing the side reload and you doing some drills with it, and I mean it looks very ergonomic. It's probably it probably makes a ton of sense to use.
The only question I get a lot is how can I lay in the prone with it? And really, there's no problem.
Yeah, I don't see a problem.
Getting down the prone.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not laying totally face down, facing the mud in the prone.
Yeah.
Things like that. So it still works out pretty well.
Yeah, probably hard to see for you, but I do have a similar. I know it's kind of dark, but similar hydration thing, kind of a smaller size. This is one. I think it fits up to like 1.5 liter, quite small. I found through trying last time, I was carrying one single Nalgene bottle on my personal kit, which is a liter. And I found that to be, I guess, enough for the type of length of times we were away from our rucks. So I kind of replicated it, but then sticked it in the back of the pack. So yeah, I mean, I like the idea of having that smaller bladder in the back.
And if you go back and you look at like early GWAT, everybody had these giant 2 liter bladders.
The one that went like super long and the
and we all had them. The problem was, and you'll see if you look at later GWAT, you'll see a lot of guys with no bladders at all. That's because it's hard to fit in all the modern MRAPs and things like that.
Yeah.
The armored vehicles is like no room at all in those things. So a lot of guys went to carrying no water except putting like bottles of water in their pocket.
Yeah.
I was never hip to that. So I always just wore that little 1 liter bladder and I can still fit in a vehicle. I think you should have water on your kit. It's silly not to.
For sure. Do you ever feel like gear adapted quickly to vehicles in that time frame?
Early on, no, not at all. You're probably your first 5 or 6 years in GWAT. We're talking 2003, 4, 5, 6. As the armor started to grow, we were playing catch up. And vests themselves, we had the full style vest. Plate carriers were an emerging thing. So you had your spear vest or your London Bridge full vest.
Yeah.
And I didn't probably see plate carriers probably till 2005 is when I saw my first like slim plate carrier. So we were wearing full vests the first real 2 years of GWAT. And of course, Special Forces didn't start issuing a plate carrier, which was the MBAV, I think it was.
Yeah. That's right, the Cryon buff. Yeah.
Yeah, probably till what, 2007?
Okay.
I don't know exactly when it hit, but around that time frame. So your first, the guys who had plate carriers were buying their own. And of course, I bought my own.
Yeah.
I think you should invest in your own gear
Yeah.
if you're not happy with the issued stuff.
The other question I was going to ask is that, so a massively popular carrier that a lot of like Ranger Special Forces that you see a lot is the Cry AVS, structural load-bearing clicker. What's your thought?
Hate it. Don't like it at all.
Uh-huh.
I was issued one. What it is I think the Cry JPC was the industry standard.
Yeah.
But for some boneheaded reason, and all us guys in Special Forces, and this is what, 2012-ish,
Yeah.
we wanted the Cry JPC. They issued us the Cry AVS, which is that whole system.
Yeah.
And what do guys end up doing? They end up stripping down all the extra stuff, and they basically make it the most slim version of a plate carrier.
Yeah.
They're trying to get it to as close to a
JPC.
JPC as possible.
I've heard from people that use the carriers in Special Forces that the JPC was more of a cheap, like, disposable carrier to an extent. It was meant to be like worn an X amount of time and then kind of be replaced. Did you find that?
No, I never heard that.
Mm-hmm.
My carrier is it's an ATS brand,
Yeah.
and really it has the same minimalistic cut as the JPC.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies just went that route. They saw the popularity of the JPC,
Yeah.
and they're like, "How can we make our own version?" And the only difference now between my kit
Yeah.
from 2015 and now everything's going laser cut.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can be a laser cut Molly. Yeah, that's super cool and all,
Mm-hmm.
but regular old Molly still works fine. If I got called into active duty or if I was going to jump into milsim right now, I would still rock my same plate carrier. I don't think there's anything radically new
Yeah.
besides
Wait.
if they just wait,
Yeah.
is getting lighter weight, ballistic plates.
Um, I have a couple, I guess, segues from that. The first one being, have you ever tried the AVS like whole structural cummerbund thing? What did you think
I
of
played
that?
with it. When I first got issued one, and this is probably 2014-ish.
Okay.
You got it with the little harness on the inside and all
Yeah.
this stuff, and we all played with it. And I just wasn't hip to it. I didn't like the huge plastic buckle up on the left side. I'm a
Okay.
lefty,
Yeah. Right. Makes
so
sense.
where does my buttstock go?
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So I think it's overbuilt. And again, if you look how most guys run them, and I think they're all still rocking the AVS as
Yeah. It's a
the issue
lot.
plate carrier. Most guys strip it down, and they're not using the full harness that's built into it anyways.
Yeah. So then, when it comes to side plates, since you didn't have like the restriction of having hard plates, to me, going for soft armor makes a ton of sense because you're not gaining a ton of weight and rigidity, and you're getting protection from if I were in that scenario. But at the same time, have you ever felt like you could have gone away without them, or did you feel like mentally like good to have them? What do you think?
Our side plates in SF are smaller and lighter than regular Army side plates.
Okay.
They're gigantic. The only reason I did not rock hard plates is the terrain of Afghanistan. You got to trim weight.
Yeah.
If you completely armor up, you go on a 3-day mission in Logar or Helmand, it's crushing terrain.
Mm-hmm.
Would I rather have hard plates in there? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If I was, say, a SWAT team member or something like that, I'd rock
100%.
hard.
Yeah.
I would, hard plates all day long.
Shoulder, neck, you
Yeah.
name it.
Knowingly going into a gunfight, yeah. If you look at early pictures of SF when we were in Iraq,
Yeah.
we did not do long movements. Everything
Yeah.
we drive right up to the breach point. So we wore as much armor as possible, groin protectors,
Yeah.
everything that was available to us at the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then that totally makes a lot of sense. If I was in an imaginary scenario where I was like an entry team of some police department, I take everything, like, because you're going from like vehicle to house, makes sense. I take as anything they could get me, what do you think of the I guess new, but it's been years now, the whole like placard systems and all of that? What's the modularity, as there's a lot of marketing behind it, and a lot of companies building systems with placards in mind and Velcro attachments, swift clips, and all of that.
Well, yeah, because you're going to the tendency is going to be, we've been playing the modular game forever.
Yeah.
You're going to rig up your kit and you're going to rig up your rifle for the most perceived threat and type of mission you'll be going on.
Mhm.
You're not going to be changing it out every time,
Yeah.
because this is a huge confusion. And I have a video where I talked about this. A lot of people slammed me on it. Your mission really shouldn't drive your kit. How the enemy fights should be driving your kit. So a lot of people are like, hey, I'm going to do CQB. I'm going to rig my kit up for CQB. I'm going to rig my rifle up for CQB, which is indoor shooting. That's great and all. But what happens if the enemy never fights at CQB? Like in Afghanistan,
Right. Why would they?
They always keep 2 or 3 buildings between you and
Yeah,
them. So you have
yeah.
medium to long range fight.
Yeah.
So you want to set up your kit to the threat and the terrain you're facing, not the mission.
Right.
And most guys will set it up one way that will kind of fit all scenarios. They don't like having to play and mess around with gears. So we kind of do it like a plain vanilla. Hey, this will kind of work for 90% of the stuff that you're going to face.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great marketing to have, hey, man, switch
Yeah,
this
yeah.
out. guys aren't going to bring in 10,000 different panel attachments on a
Yeah.
deployment
Yeah.
and like, start playing around with it. They're going to rig their stuff up in probably one way, maybe an alternate, like if they're going to change guns, which uh, I was prepared to do. So if you're going to rock 5.56, yeah, you're going to have 5.56 mag
Right. Right.
pouches. If you're going to go to 308, have a system to easily change those out without having to unweave molly.
Yeah.
That would be handy.
Yeah.
But to have, 5 different panels because it's very niche,
Yeah.
that's not really how it happens.
That makes sense.
There is one thought process that I've been playing with in my head, and I filmed a video about, and it's kind of taking a more standardization approach to play carrier setup in a way that allows you to set up a system maybe 80, 85, 90% of the way, and then utilizing the last top edge of the situation to then fully get to where you need to go. So that's something that I've been trying to put thoughts together. It's kind of having a play here and seeing it as an empty system and then subdividing into different areas. Like, well, I want this area for this area for that, and kind of getting you as close to where you need to be as possible.
Yeah, it goes back to, your priorities and really the situation in the enemy. So again, that's why I cut up my plate. My plate carrier has always been fighting stuff on the front, support stuff on the back.
Yeah.
So if I didn't need it, frankly, to kill people with,
Yeah.
it went to the back of the kit.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, the Peltors, these are kind of what I've started using a little while ago. Reason why it's, mostly for actual shooting at the range.
Yep.
And then the comms is nice, but then, of course, I came from standard headsets like Walkers, whatever, and the difference is just massive, both in comfort because with the gel pads, these actually seal really well with glasses, and don't hurt me. But then,
So why you don't have a helmet mount for those?
yeah, so actually, my helmet here is one of these, just a fast helmet. So this is actual, ballistic helmet, and I will have arc mounts on the rail, which the helmet is not quite done yet. But the way you have it is that it's going to have arc mounts, and the main reason for that is that I want the ability to just like pop them open and let some airflow, and then still being able to hear communication coming through.
Yep. You just got to take your pelters and raise them to get them off that leather strap with the headband strap.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind destroying your pelters and then unclipping them. That's what we used to do. I still have mine. So those mounts you talked about,
Yeah.
they pop in and pop out.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I had to turn in my real pelters to the Army,
Yeah.
but I bought a cheap pair of regular pelters,
Yeah.
and I popped them in there just in case I ever do go to the range and want to shoot with a helmet on.
Yeah.
But yeah, these pelter mounts I had to buy myself. They
Yeah.
weren't issued. And now they went to a different mount that like opens from the side or something.
Right.
They're horrible.
Yeah.
I think these original pelter mounts are the way to go. Because in real life, yeah, like you just said, I'd roll with them unlocked. As soon as I heard the first bullet crack by, you can lock them down to protect your hearing.
Speaking of which, I had some experience on those amps mount, the one that mount to this side of the rail. Yeah, I didn't enjoy those, and I think the biggest downside of that is that you cannot do this. Like you have to like fold them completely open. And I was hearing a lot of complaints that when you go and do that, the lever arm creates too much of a moment and it just rips them clear out.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a son in the military. He got issued them, and he despised them. Yeah, and though the pelter mounts, when I purchased mine, I think they were like $70 at the time.
Yeah, that's about that's
Even
about
being
just
much more expensive.
right. Yeah, of course. And then this is it's a helmet. It goes with the kit. It's what that particular unit uses. It's made by a Militech. And then another thing I have to do, I have more pads, like upgraded pads coming in. But I'm gonna keep it relatively simple, just the mounts, and it's enough weight. I don't want to keep adding a bunch of stuff. Another thing that I wanted to discuss with you is battle belts. I know they're very versatile piece of kit and they can be very useful. I personally kind of not really been looking forward to putting one together or using it. And so far I am trying to pretty much fit everything I need on my plate carrier. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if you're gonna if you're gonna rock a secondary, if you're gonna go pistol, then obviously the belt's the way to go. I rocked a full blown the war belt with suspenders because I got no ass, so I needed to hold my pants up. I keep probably 90% of the fighting stuff on my vest because
Yeah.
that way, if anything, you just need to grab your vest and rifle and go. But I like also spreading out the weight. So if you're going to carry a ton of gear, I do like a padded war belt. I wore nods on mine. Of course, I wore my pistol, extra pistol mags.
Yeah.
That's where I had a multi-tool and things like that. So I do like spreading the weight out. And if you wear a good padded war belt, especially with some low profile suspenders,
Yeah.
if you got a fully rigged plate carrier, it kind of sits on top of that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of on your hips and all the weight's just not hanging off your shoulders.
Yeah, I've heard really good feedback on that type of setup. I personally haven't tried it myself yet. I've used a lot of those two-piece belts with the Velcro, and the more I use them, the more downsides I found to those, if that makes
They're an
sense.
awesome range belt,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's all I wear on the range. In all my videos, I'm wearing a two-piece belt. It's the way to go for the flat range.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to wear one for like a 3-day op where
Yeah.
it's just strangling your waist the whole time. I think padded war belts are still the way to go, especially for comfort. And if you're long duration and you got to carry a lot of stuff, then nothing beats a padded war belt, even though I guess they're kind of viewed old school now.
No, I mean, I completely agree. And I think especially if when it comes to like layering, for example, even if you do want to wear a field top and not a combat shirt, having one of those Velcro belts, it kind of makes it like difficult. Like you either tuck in your whole coat, or you can't really do it. Or like if you want to wear like a cold jacket for the nighttime or something, it kind of gets in the way more than anything. So yeah, I mean, I agree personally. I see a lot of people doing this low profile suspender. Even at milsim events, a lot of people do that. I'm personally trying to stay away from it because, I mean, one of the things that gets annoying is like when you're wearing a big rucksack. I feel like you probably would want to take the belt off, put it in the rucksack, and then when you get to a point where you want it, put it back on.
It's all about rucksacks. It's all about getting the right fit. And if you don't, in getting a rucksack that doesn't have any sort of hip belt, otherwise it will be in the way. But I run a source pack. They're for source. It's not, they don't call it the 3-day patrol. I forget what they call it. But it took a long time to find the right pack to actually wear in kit. There's the 35L patrol. Yep, that's the source pack I ran.
The only rucksack experience I had was with the Marine issue, the Marpat one, the bigger one.
Yeah, it's gigantic. Yeah.
Huge. I didn't like it. The belt was terrible to wear.
It's not; those aren't designed to wear in full kit. They're
Yeah.
designed to wear standalone, which is silly because the entire military fights in full kit.
Yeah. And then I moved to the Alice pack afterwards, and that was already a huge improvement for me. Last time I was actually wearing the Smersh LBE, and I was actually able to fit the waist pad of the Alice right above the backpack of the Smersh, and then just tuck the belt inside of the pack so I wouldn't need it, and it fit quite well. So that worked out.
And the Alice was meant to sit on top of the old school LCE, which is basically a war belt.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
meant to sit on top of the canteens and the butt pack, so it rides higher to facilitate that.
Yeah, no, and it's doable. Like you said, it truly comes to playing with it and finding the right adjustments. I guess we could talk about maybe when it comes to like people getting into milsim events and using that, and what are your thoughts? How translatable would that be? How helpful would it be to an individual?
So anything can get gamey, like paintball can get gamey. Even in the military, rocking full simunitions can get paintball-like if you don't take it seriously. But from what I've seen in milsim, I'm super impressed. And I mentioned it on my channel a while ago, and it's an older video now. I don't even know if they exist anymore, but that Green Mountain milsim team.
Yeah, they're old school guys. Yeah.
You watched their tactics, and their tactics were cutting edge for the time. I mean, they were on par with what we were doing for CQB. I was blown away when I first saw it. So if you take it seriously, you can get some great training out of it. The only difference is, you're not firing full-blown simunition. Really, if you're doing the same tactics, and you got a bunch of guys that are all in the same sheet of music, I say, why not?
Yeah.
I would use it if I was going to teach a CQB course to civilians. I would probably invest in a bunch of, you know, airsoft
Airsoft
guns
guns, yeah.
and do it up that way.
I think the main for me the main benefit is truly like putting together gear, which is a very fun aspect on its own, like on a complete like isolated case. But then actually taking it and trying it, and you figure out very quickly, it's like, this pouch here is super annoying, I hate it, or this thing here sucks, and you just keep kind of building up, and you start from a very like bare bone thing to something that it's a bit more polished.
I have 6 tours of combat in Special Forces, and every tour my stuff was rigged up differently
Mm-hmm.
until my last 2 tours when I finally found the magic formula. It takes a while,
Yeah.
and to really get into it. And yeah, if you people who are super into gear and they like playing with it, I don't see anything wrong with it. And I know there was controversy, like some military guys think it's silly of civilians to be rocking gear and all that. I say, hey, if you're into gear and all that, you want to work out in gear, or you don't want to do milsim, I mean, hey, why not? Why, why would I look down on somebody like that? I think it's cool. I don't personally, like if you watch my videos, I don't wear any gear anymore
Mm-hmm.
just because I had 26 years of rocking gear
Yeah.
all the time. I'm on the burnt out side.
Yeah.
So I'm going, you'll see me just in a regular inner outer belt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't poo poo anybody that, is into gear. Like, oh, they're not in the military. Why do they care? Well, hey, if that's their hobby and they're into it, hey, why not?
No, and I think it's a really good way to do it, especially on the physical side of things. Um, in some places, it can get quite demanding, especially because it's such a different set of, I guess you'd call it muscle or conditioning that I guess most people don't really get to try, right? Because you can go to the gym and be quite fit, but then when you try to rock up a hill, it's just different. It's not something you get to do every day for most people. So I consider myself decently fit, but even in some cases I was, I had to catch my breath a few times with the kit and the elevation and walking and having a rifle slinged out. It's something that if you don't do often, you're not really gonna get the feel for it, So that's
Fighting cardio is different than regular cardio.
absolutely, yeah, and that's kind of why next time I definitely want to wear my plate carrier with the plates and the soft armor. It's more for myself and trying to power through it. Even though there's absolutely no need, right? You don't really get much of a benefit except for your personal satisfaction more than anything. So yeah, that's cool. And like I said, I think what you're saying is true, and it can get gamey. Especially since airsoft guns, they shoot little plastic BBs at a few hundred, not even, like a few dozen feet. And you'll see enemy guys running up in the field like 100, 200 yards from there. You just like, it's, what can
Waiting
you
to
do?
get in the
Yeah, it's
range.
like, I can't do anything. I see them. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the game aspect of it more than anything. So I guess a bit of a hot topic, spicy topic. Do you think that in this market, mostly, which a major slice of the market for a lot of companies is the civilian market, do you think that the civilian market uses constructed fantasies to justify a lot of the stuff that it's out there and purchases and requirements?
I think there was definitely an era of that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, gear was probably even bigger. Probably, I would say at least 5 or 6 years ago. It seemed like gear really hit civilians really hard,
Yeah.
and now we see like tactical games coming out and run and gun and kit.
Yeah.
Where that didn't exist before either. If you want to shoot, you'd shoot 3-gun or something. But now we're getting more tactical flavored games, which
Yeah.
is cool. There is a lot of, I think they were playing to it, but I think actually the war in Ukraine has kind of shut some of that down because people can only digest so much tactical content.
Yeah.
And the war in Ukraine has brought reality back
Yeah.
over kind of the gamey fantasy, like shift stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's driving the military side, the real life tactical stuff, a different way than what it was during GWAT.
Yeah.
But it's marketing, and
Sure.
companies, they want to make money, and they can call it LARPing or cosplaying or
Sure.
whatever. Again, if that's what people are into,
Yeah.
I'm all for it. If they want to be like a defensive-minded citizen, or they just want milsim,
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably half the reason why most guys join the military. I joined the military looking for a challenge and an adventure,
Hmm.
and just see what it's like. But I completely understand there's civilians that are like, I don't want to join the army, but I want to challenge myself, and this is how I do it. Okay, that's cool. That's why I was super big at one time into a competitive mountain biking, and I used to do off-road triathlons. It was just a challenge.
Sure.
So if people are going the tactical route, where yeah, it's games
Sure.
basically, I still think.
It's awesome. I mean, I think LARPing is a ton of fun, and I think any country that allows you to do so is it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's good. Now, will I make fun of people LARPing sometimes? Of course. I'm
I
a
mean,
vet.
it's good.
That's how we roll.
I think.
But yeah, uh, the only time it kind of gets under my skin is when I see people who are trying to pass themselves off as like a professional in it. Like, hey, this is tactically, this is how you want to do it. Well, what's your base of experience?
Sure.
If you're just out there airsofting it up, that's
Sure.
cool. But it's when people who have zero experience, and this gets into like live fire training,
Sure.
try and go down the tactical instructor route. And it's like,
Yeah.
hey, what's your basis of experience?
Sure. I mean, I think even within the LARPing, right? So that sphere, I think making fun of each other in a way, it helps maintain a healthy baseline of kit and your looks, how you set up your things, and it helps guide people in a better direction, in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, bowling works.
Yeah.
Sometimes, so it does. So sometimes people, especially newer people, come to events and their gear is all sloppy. Nothing makes sense. So it's that like there's a lot of resources out there that can help people guide to get closer to where at the end of the day it makes them more comfortable. It makes them look better. So I think there's benefit to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see it in the competitive shooting world, people showing up for their very first match for the first time. They have the perception of what their gear should look like versus, hey, this is the reality, this is what's going to run better. And you always try and help the newer shooters along. So yeah.
I guess since this has been a cool discussion. For the sake of time, I wanted to end this on a totally different note.
Okay.
I know that you, like myself, are a watch guy. So,
Oh, watches. Oh,
what watch are you wearing right now?
well, actually, I've been a diehard mechanical watch fan the
Yeah.
last 4 years. I'm actually wearing a quartz today.
Yeah.
I forget the exact Seiko model, but my wife got this for one of my birthdays about 5 years ago. And I actually haven't worn this in like 3 years, and I
Yeah.
just started wearing it again. Quartz gets poo-pooed in the watch
It's
community,
awesome.
but I'm a huge Seiko fan, so this is a Seiko, so it's still right there. And yeah, it's a Seiko. It's a chronograph. I just don't know what model.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a fun segue because as you can see back there,
Yep.
again, I started with huge mechanical like passion, right? So that's a Seiko, that's 009.
Yep.
Funny enough, over the years, especially in the last couple of years, I just kind of went back to quartz in a sense. I started wearing more sports watches just as a way to, I don't know, just not worrying about it, if that makes sense. And being an engineer, of course, the mechanical side of things has always been like my driving interest. But over time, it's just like I started wearing quartz more and more. It's like, man, this is so much better. Like I can bash this against like a metal table, and I don't care one bit.
Yeah, I'm slowly turning into a snob and only liking mechanical, and my threshold has gone up a little bit. Like I actually, my wife allowed me to spend the money on a Rolex. I was going to get a Submariner, but honestly, I couldn't bring myself to do it. I couldn't bring myself to spend 10 grand on one watch.
Yeah.
So I'm a big Tudor fan,
Uh-huh.
things like that. Yeah, they call it the poor man's Rolex, but to me, I've got about a 5K threshold I'll spend on a watch, so that fits my personal threshold.
Yeah.
But I'm still a diehard Seiko guy.
I mean, talking about that, that's a very healthy, I guess, upper limit of the budget, I think, for any mechanical watch. Speaking of which, if you haven't heard of, I mean, I think Doxa and Zin are awesome options that if you like, that dive watch, you might be
Yeah,
interested
I'm
in.
familiar with Doxa and Zen. My next watch is might be an Omega, maybe.
Okay.
I've got two Tudors, so I gotta switch gears. So who knows what I'll get next?
So let's remove money out of the picture. So a hypothetical
Yeah.
scenario, right? What would you get?
If 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 money was out,
Yeah.
well, again, are they the best watches in the world? No, but you've got to go Rolex, and it would be a Daytona.
Yeah.
That's really the I would say the most recognized, hey, you've arrived watch out there.
Fair enough.
But on a personal level, though, I've got that internal threshold. I'll never spend
Yeah,
much money.
yeah. I mean, I'd agree. I think that would be probably my upper limit too, regardless of financial situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. To me, it's a lot of money. To some people, 10 grand is nothing.
Nothing, yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
it's a lot, and it's a lot to be wearing on your, even though like upper end watches are like Richard Millets or
Exactly.
30, 40, 50, 100 grand is like
Speaking
nothing to
of
some
which,
people.
I have a
Yeah.
fun story. So, Richard Mille, which this one I painted over there. So I always like their mechanical like movements. I went into one of their stores in Milano, and I was having a chat with the guy, and they had one of those limited edition McLaren like graphene carbon case, like you name it, like mechanical G-Shock counter inside, like actual G-forces. And I was like, can I see it? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay. So he pulled that out of the case, I tried it on, and I was just playing with this watch. This thing like weighs like a feather, it's like nothing. He's like, how much? Like, how much is this? He's like, 1.2. No, 1.5. He's like, 1.5, 1.5 million. It's like, holy shit, I shouldn't be touching this. Just put it right back in the case.
Yeah, yeah. I like watches. Unfortunately, it's another thing to throw money at now.
Yeah,
Besides guns and cameras, it's watches.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
know. It's endless, it's endless. Anyway, yeah, I thank you so much for the time. Guys, if you haven't, or you probably have, because if you like my channel, you definitely like his channel. But if you haven't, do check out his channel. There's a ton of very informative content that we can all learn a bunch from. So it's been really nice chatting. I think it's been a cool conversation.
no, excellent. I'm happy to be on here.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for your time.
All right.
See you.